Hey, everybody, this is Lorraine.
And Jennifer?
And I got a question for you, Jennifer. How easy would it be for you to drive down the highway if you spent most of the time looking in your rearview mirror?
Pretty difficult.
Absolutely. And we know that. We know that most of your time you got to be looking forward and occasionally glance back to make sure that you're not missing something, right?
Right.
But business owners do it all the time. They spend so much time focused on what was the number for last month, and did we get the engagement, and did we get this, and did we get that, and they look at all the numbers and they're delighted because they've got this dashboard and they can see all the numbers.
Yeah.
But that's your rear view mirror, unless you figure out what those numbers mean in terms of action.
Yeah. Like, how is that going to change your future? Like, what's the trend line? And so, yeah, how do I need to react? 100% agree.
You know, it's common sense when you think about it. I've got this number. I'm looking at this trend line. I've got all of that. The questions you got to be asking are, is it where I want to be?
Yeah.
Does it matter?
Yeah.
I mean, I've built dashboards and tracked numbers for years.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you that I have hidden lines all over my spreadsheets just in case I ever need that data again.
Yeah. Yeah. But benchmarks maybe too comes into this conversation.
Mhm.
Like, what are there benchmarks that would tell you that you are? I love the trend line because I think sometimes information is given to us so quickly these days that we maybe react too quickly without giving it time. And then, what is the appropriate time? It depends on the metric and what we're looking at.
Absolutely. I think trend lines in history give you perspective.
Perspective.
Is this an anomaly? Is this part of a regular cycle? And
Yeah.
that's where looking backwards is helpful. But then you've got to turn it around and you got to look forward and say, okay, this is where I am today.
Yeah.
The benchmark, I want to be there because I know that number correlates to how many people come to my website or how much traffic I get or how many leads I get. And so that number is important. I want to get there strategically. How am I going to get there? What am I going to do differently? What am I going to do the same? And the strategy is not about the number, it's about the activity.
Yeah. Do you think people just get, because strategy takes a lot of work to like think differently. And I think sometimes people maybe just like, well, it's just easier to keep doing what I'm doing without questioning it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it could be a hard balance of over questioning it for sure. I've seen that too. I'm going to be a victim of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Well, I think you're right on both counts. I think that there's a group of us that fall in love with a metric and keep tracking it even when we realize that that metric is it's not tying to business outcomes. It's a vanity metric.
yeah,
You know, how many followers you have on Facebook, unless you've got 40,000, 20,000, whatever, some ridiculous number, it really doesn't matter. And I'm
no,
gonna and I'm gonna argue that even if it's less than that, the number of fans and followers, especially because they're so inflated by bots right now,
yeah,
is irrelevant.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so you need to let that one go. But you've spent 5 years building this fan base, and now you're like, yeah, well, that's shit.
I actually, it was recently, I can't remember how many post ago it was, but it was like the 6 questions that you should ask that are tied back to business, and so it's somewhat related to this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like the 6 strategic like questions a marketer should ask, but I think those strategics, they're all just lined back to these metrics that would tell you that the revenue is heading in the right direction, which is really what a business cares about, and then tying that back to marketing.
Absolutely. And, I know this is a whole conversation myself. I don't want to completely go down that. A lot of the metrics that we have relied on for 20 years
Mhm.
are just not valid anymore because we're not getting good data. And a lot of the new metrics, the data is not reliable either. It's guesswork. It's well, we think it's this or maybe it's that. And at the end of the day, it goes back to what's really happening on your website.
Yeah.
You're doing all this activity. Are people coming? Are they converting? Is your phone ringing?
Yeah, because they have to. There could be a lot of noise upstream. I'm not saying that noise is not needed
Mm-hmm.
for sure, because the noise, down
Mm-hmm.
there. But like, if they're not like actually picking up the phone and because they have to buy from you, or
Mm-hmm.
they have to call, or they have to fill out a form, then you kind of can work backwards on a lot of metrics. But no, I don't want, because I know we're like thinking forward. Like I found that, like, what am I going to do different? Not just like, oh, that number, like that changed. That sucks.
Now what?
Now
And
what?
that's where, and you said it yourself earlier, strategy is hard.
Very hard.
Looking at it and not looking at, well, I'll throw another blog post at it, but I'm going to throw this kind of blog post because this type of content is doing well, it's scoring well, people are reading these articles, people are connecting with this content, they're clicking through, they're engaging with me, they're asking questions,
Yeah.
and not just any content, but really what content is working. um, I was talking in a LinkedIn post I did, and I was looking at the different kind of content.
Uh huh.
And I've actually built a schedule now where every Sunday it's this, every Monday it's this, every Tuesday it's this. And so now I can really look day by day and I can look at all my Tuesdays and go, oh, that content is working. And ooh, that content isn't. We won't even talk about the convenience of having such a well organized schedule that it allows me to work a month ahead.
Yeah.
We're not even going to go there. But I can now look at realistic data, engagement, interaction that gives me real time feedback that I can then do more of.
Yeah.
And
Well, I wrote down a list of, because we're talking about strategy, because it is like forward thinking. And I
Mhm.
have this list for upcoming shows, just like, how do you know if your marketing is being strategic? Uh, are you being curious? Like you
Mhm.
constantly asking why. Future oriented thinking, which is
Mhm.
what we're talking about, playing the long game, not just the short.
Mhm.
Looking for pattern recognition. So that's
Mhm.
what we kind of say, like, where, like, is this just 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? Um, Pivoting without panicking.
Mhm. Mhm.
You have comfort with risk and ambiguity.
Mhm.
If you wait for certainty, it's probably too late.
Mhm.
Self-aware and reflection. So sometimes when we're living online and we're not living offline, we're just in an echo chamber.
Mhm.
Disciplined thinking, saying no to shiny objects. Customer centric. I love this one. Like, what does my customer want? I am solving a problem. Like,
Well, and that one, I actually would argue that customer centric. I kept waiting for you to say that because to me, that's the one that goes to the top of the list.
yeah,
That's the one that really tells you kind of drives everything else. But all of those things are valid. It's, are you actually thinking before you start creating anything? Who is my customer? What do they want? Where do I want to be?
yeah,
That future thinking, the uh, looking at how the pieces come together. How do they support my objectives? And all of those things have to fit together. And it's a lot more work than just saying, you know what, I'm going to write a blog post about tuna fish on Tuesday.
Yeah. You've got to do it every quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Like when numbers are coming in, I guess to a degree, and maybe we can debate this. Like on a monthly basis, I might not do anything about it, but like on a quarterly is, and your quarter could be different than the rest of the world's
Mm-hmm.
quarters,
Mm-hmm.
based on when sales flow
Mm-hmm.
and with your business. Of okay, well I'm gonna make decisions now, and then I'm gonna stick with it, and this is how long I'm gonna stick with it based on those numbers. This is what I'm gonna do.
Absolutely. I think that there are things that we do that have more immediate impact, and there are things that take time to build. And so, depending on the tactics that you are using and what you're using to measure them, the month by month will give you an indicator,
Yeah.
but the 3 month pattern, the 6 month pattern is really what's going to tell you, is this normal? And for some businesses, I mean, my clients, and you have clients like this too, that are with you for multiple years. Now you can start saying, this is a normal January.
Yeah.
This is a crazy January. And you can't always compare January to December because they're very different months,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
so you don't, like you said, you don't want to completely switch your viewpoint.
I think
But
that's
I
what you just need an outside opinion.
absolutely, which is going to lead me to what I was going to say next is, if you're struggling with finding the right metrics, deciding what your metrics mean, have a conversation with Jen, have a conversation with me, and you'll find links to how to do that in the show notes.
Uh,
Until next time,
Bye now.
bye now.